What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Monday, October 6th, 2025, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now it is 17:49 Eastern Time here in the United States. We have some major breaking news coming in from Europe. So, according to the European Commissioner for Space and Defense, Andreas Kubilius, apparently German intelligence has obtained relevant evidence indicating that Russian President Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin are discussing a potential attack against NATO, with it currently unknown if these are only discussions or if preparation are being actively made for a direct conflict with NATO and the United States. Okay, so this is absolutely huge breaking news. Here you can see the headline: Western intelligence have evidence that Russia discussing NATO attack. Okay. The Kremlin is reportedly discussing a potential invasion of NATO countries. Western intelligence agencies have evidence that Russia is considering an attack against the alliance, says Euro Commissioner for Defense Andreas Kubilius. Now, Andreas Kubilius is a former Prime Minister of Lithuania. He was the Prime Minister of Lithuania for quite a while. And earlier this year, the U.S. Army Europe and NATO Allied Forces Supreme Commander General Alexis Grinkevich warned that the U.S. and its European allies likely have only a year and a half to prepare for a potential global military conflict with China and Russia. He added that the two dictatorships could launch a coordinated strike in 2027. Okay, so we have the European Commissioner for Space and Defense saying that Western intelligence, including German intelligence, has evidence that Putin and the Kremlin are discussing and or potentially already preparing for an attack on NATO and the United States. And then we have the U.S. Army Europe and Allied Forces Supreme Commander Alexis Grinkevich saying that we only have a year and a half to prepare for a war with Russia and China. So guys, get prepared. Make sure you have a nuclear war survival plan. Make sure you have a fallout shelter. Make sure you have a bug out bag. Check out my nuclear war survival videos so you know the basics of radiation and how to protect yourself. And also some very concerning information coming out of Russia. The Russian buzzer, also known as UVB-76, this is one of Russia's secret radio frequencies. Nobody really knows 100% what it's for, but most people, including myself, believe that this is Russia's primary nuclear war frequency, and it transmitted a code that was very similar to the code that Russia transmitted in February of 2022, right before Russia invaded Ukraine, and also right before Russia launched the Oreshnik, which was last November on Ukraine. The Oreshnik is an intermediate range ballistic missile. Okay, so I'll play it for you, but it's basically the same code that Russia transmitted before they invaded Ukraine and before they launched the Oreshnik. So something could be happening in the coming days. Maybe they're going to launch an attack on Poland and the Baltics. Maybe they're going to launch nukes on Ukraine. Who knows, okay? But get prepared. It's a little bit hard to hear because the volume is low, but if you want to turn your volume up, you can hear more of it. So that's the message there. Okay, so we'll have to see if something's going to happen in the coming days. And right now, we have U.S. nuclear forces on high alert again. We have a U.S. nuke sniffer plane that is currently looping over South Dakota, which is pretty unusual, but it was looping over central Nebraska this afternoon. We also have a nuclear war command and control plane that took off from Tinker Air Force Base, which is the home base of these planes, and it appears to be going over to Europe, which is not a good sign. These planes are responsible for communicating with our submerged nuclear-armed submarines. They can also remotely launch all of our Minuteman III ICBMs. We also have a pair of aerial refuelers that appear to be going overseas as well. They were moved from, looks like Tinker as well. And looks like they might be landing in Pittsburgh. There's a big aerial refueler base in Pittsburgh. And then from there, they'll probably go over to Europe. So this is extremely concerning. And the U.S. Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, ordered the call-up and federalization of 400 airmen and soldiers with the Texas National Guard in order to perform federal protection missions where needed, including in the cities of Portland and Chicago. Okay, so they're going to federalize Texas National Guard and send them to Portland and Chicago. And last night, Ukraine struck two major power plants in Russia, one in the Bryansk region closer to Belarus, the Klinsy power plant, and then one in Belgorod close to Ukraine, the Luch power plant. And the Luch power plant, when that went down, it caused most of the city of Belgorod, 60,000 people, to lose power pretty much all night and maybe even still today. So big strikes on Russia's energy infrastructure last night, hitting two power plants. Also, there were reports of several large explosions at the Saki Air Base in Crimea, so it looks like they attacked Crimea as well. And Denmark has assigned a pair of F-35s to defend the airspace over Poland, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, as well as the Baltic Sea as part of NATO's Operation Eastern Sentry. Additionally, the Ivar Hufeld-class air defense frigate, the HDMS Niels Juel, will be immediately deployed to the Eastern Baltic. Okay, so Denmark sending two F-35s to Poland and the Baltics, and they're sending an air defense frigate to the Eastern Baltic Sea. Okay, so clearly something is going on. Also, Norway is deploying F-35s to Poland to begin an air defense mission in October. The pilots will be stationed near Poznan and are authorized to intercept and, if necessary, shoot down drones and aircraft violating Polish airspace. So, absolutely huge breaking news. Danish and Norwegian F-35s being moved to Poland and the Baltics. And there were some drone wreckages found east of Warsaw, the capital of Poland, last night, 70 miles east of Warsaw. The wreckage of an object resembling a drone was discovered near the village of Zaręby Warchowy. Polish police and the military gendarmerie were seen at the site working to determine if the drone was civilian or military, with sources stating that it was believed to be Russian. So another drone crashing in Poland, okay? And then there were hot air balloons that were sent over Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania, over the weekend. They shut down the entire airport in Vilnius. The whole airspace around the capital of Lithuania was shut down pretty much all of Saturday, and supposedly that was due to hot air balloons that were sent from Belarus and Russia. And this video was sponsored by Just In Case Holsters. Guys, you need to get yourself a high-quality holster for your personal defense weapon. And the company I recommend for high-quality leather holsters is Just In Case Holsters. Now, these holsters are made in the USA by a veteran, And the holster that I really love for carrying a firearm in the woods is the Kodiak chest holster. I have one of these for my .357 Magnum, and the leather is really thick, really heavy duty, really beautiful, holds the firearm nicely, and you can draw the weapon very quickly, which is important in a personal defense situation. Now, he has a whole variety of holsters, not just these open carry chest holsters, but if you want to browse around their website, use the link in the description. It's justincaseholsters.com, and I have a special promo code that's going to give you 10% off of all of their products on their website, and the promo code is NYPrepper, and that's also in the description. So justincaseholsters.com. Use the promo code NYPrepper to get 10% off of any leather products on their website. And according to U.S. officials that spoke with Axios, apparently Trump and Netanyahu had a little bit of an argument over the phone over this ceasefire deal that Trump is pushing on Israel. Trump called Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to discuss what he saw as good news. However, Netanyahu appears to have felt differently, reportedly telling Trump this is nothing to celebrate and that it doesn't mean anything, leading Trump to fire back saying, "I don't know why you're always so effing negative. This is a win. Take it." Wow. Okay, so Trump is essentially forcing Israel into a peace deal with Hamas. And yesterday at the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Navy, Trump said in his speech that the U.S. struck another Venezuelan boat, some kind of drug boat, and he also said that soon the U.S. is going to strike targets in Venezuela itself, okay? And China's PLA has built and expanded ultra-detailed mock replicas of Taiwanese government buildings at its Zhuhai training base in Inner Mongolia. Models of the presidential office, the judicial yuan, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Defense, road networks, even a 280-meter underground tunnel. New satellite imagery shows the site has nearly tripled in size since 2020, with additions as recent as April 2025 tailored for large-scale urban warfare drills. Okay, so they're making these massive mock replicas of Taiwan's cities and government offices, and they've tripled in size. Okay, and they're obviously practicing bombing them and doing different drills. Okay, so this is training to seize control of government buildings in Taiwan. And the Israeli Minister of Defense, Israel Katz, said that the Israeli army is still deployed in Gaza City and is prepared for any situation. If Hamas refuses, we will resume firing. So he's saying that as of right now, the Israeli military is on standby because of Trump's deal. They're not going to continue striking, but if anything changes, they will resume, okay? And Putin said yesterday that delivering Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine would destroy the emerging positive trends in Russian-U.S. relations. And Zelensky said yesterday that more than 50 missiles and 500 drones were launched by the Russian Federation at Ukraine. 5 were killed and 10 were wounded. And this massive attack primarily targeted western Ukraine. The city of Lviv was hit particularly hard. And last night, the Russian Defense Ministry claims to have shot down 251 Ukrainian drones overnight. And Reuters is reporting that 5,000 Cubans are fighting in Ukraine alongside Russia. So Russia is recruiting Cubans to fight in Ukraine. And we're hearing some disturbing reports coming out of Chicago that the Chicago police were ordered not to help federal agents who reported being boxed in and surrounded by as many as 10 vehicles. Multiple federal and Chicago law enforcement sources have confirmed to Fox News. Wow, so looks like the Chicago police and the federal agents under Trump do not like each other. And Trump warned Hamas yesterday in a post on Truth Social that the time is of the essence or massive bloodshed will follow, something that nobody wants to see, basically saying, look, Hamas, if you don't start releasing hostages immediately, then the deal is over and there will be a massive attack. Okay, massive bloodshed will follow. That's what he said. And Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro claims the U.S. seeks to impose regime change in Venezuela through armed aggression, aiming to install a puppet government and take control of the country's natural resources. And the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un says strategic assets have been deployed in response to U.S. forces stationed in South Korea. And just remember, a few weeks ago, Kim Jong-un said that they are going to dedicate all of their national resources to developing the nuclear program in North Korea. So what is Kim Jong-un preparing for? Obviously, he's preparing for World War III. If you dedicate all of your resources to expanding your nuclear arsenal, you're not doing that if you're in a peacetime scenario, okay? And now he's deploying strategic assets. Okay, we're talking about nuclear missiles, all right? And we have some disturbing news coming out of Germany. The drones that flew over and closed the Munich International Airport were military reconnaissance drones, according to a classified report seen by Bild. Okay, so Russia is doing active reconnaissance over critical NATO military facilities. Okay, looks like they've already flown over about a dozen or two of these German and Norwegian and Danish air bases, okay? But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back later on tonight, probably closer to 11 p.m. Eastern time with live coverage and a live update. So I'll see you guys then. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP Shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP Shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video.